Welcome to Split the Defense.
Split the Defense.
LEAFS Postgame Edition. Split the Defense is presented by LaForest Electrical Contractors. Professional and efficient service since 2004, serving the Kingston and surrounding areas. Alongside co-host Craig Pearce and producer Ted Evans, here's your host, Jordan Webster.
Almost 4 minutes left was a gutsy move by Rod the Bod, but Aho proved him right, scoring 2 goals with the net empty and willed his team to overtime. After a thrilling overtime, Jake Guentzel, new acquisition for the Carolina Hurricanes, leads the Canes to defeat the Leafs 6-5 in a shootout. Back on Split the Defense, I'm Webby here with producer Ted in the booth. Thumbs up this episode, subscribe to our YouTube, rate us 5 stars, and get her going in the comments. I'm going to need all the help I can get tonight as I am running solo dolo. So, we had goals from JT. We had Nylander has now tied his point record. And the first period was boring as hell, but the second period made up for it. Brody hits John Tavares, who's in behind the play. And he goes on the slowest breakaway I think I've ever seen in my life, like a strong man, just wills himself to the net, bar down ski on Kochetkov, and then within minutes, Willie walks in and completely undresses Kochetkov with a backhander for his 36th of the season, and again, ties his career points record, which is 87. Little Nylander news. His little brother, Alex Nylander, now has 7 goals in the last 11 games since being acquired by the Columbus Blue Jackets. So maybe a little Nylander has a chance here in the NHL too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Little Willie.
The little Willie, yeah. Absolutely. You know what, Dad? The Hurricanes, they don't scare me. The Canes getting Guentzel is honestly just doubling down on them not having any superstars in the team. Like, they have Sebastian Aho. I won't take away from that guy. He's fantastic. Scored 2 great goals, a nice tip to tie the game. But this team is just a bunch of mid, and it's mid-city, always has been mid-city. So, like, if we go into a best-of-7 series, say in the conference finals against the Carolina Hurricanes, they do not scare me one bit at all.
No, I see that, man. And like we were talking about the Guentzel edition, what is Guentzel like? Yes, okay, he can put up points,
like
but
yeah.
Like
he's the second best on the team, you know what I mean? Not even the second best. He's like the second tier of good. Like, yeah, he's a great role player, but like he's not a superstar. And like everybody was touting him as a superstar, but you know, he scores good goals, but he also played with Crosby and Malkin, and like he had that. Who does he have in Carolina to play with that is like that? He just doesn't. And like, I just think in a best of 7, if the Toronto Maple Leafs meet the Carolina Hurricanes, absolutely no doubt about it, the Leafs beat them in a best of 7. They don't scare me. The Leafs have had their number for like, I don't know, the last 40 games they've played in the last, 15 years. And it just seems like even when the Leafs were shit, they could still beat the Canes. So like, they just don't scare me. You know what does scare me though? The Leafs power play is 5% in March. That's a 7-game sample size, but that's scary as hell. We're getting into the meat grinder of the season where you have to deal with injuries. Everybody has them, and I get we have no Mitch Marner right now, but this 5% power play is got to be the lowest in the league by a lot. And if you're going to take this into the playoffs, are you not right now supposed to be getting yourself ready for the playoffs instead of throwing out just random crazy lines and guys in the power play shifting JT off, shifting him back, and now everybody plays like shit, and it just makes no sense. It's making me nervous. I can't say it any other way, but it makes me nervous that over the last 7 games, the Leafs power play being 5% is horrible. So sorry guys, I'm going to run this the best that I can, but Yarncroke's hand injury causes more lineup changes tonight. We had Bertuzzi, Matthews, and Holmberg together to start the game, but Bobby McMahon ended up replacing Pontus Holmberg after the first Carolina Hurricanes goal. 3-0, guys. 3-0 this game was, and the Canes come back and win 6-5. It's just amazing. It was 3-0, it was 5-3, and this team can't hold on. McMahon was with Domi and Nylander, and you know what? I do like the Domi Nylander pairing. They are very go, go, go. I just wish that they had more time. Maybe more time develops more chemistry with these two. And maybe with more chemistry comes more success. And maybe with more success comes less micro managing of the line and trying to make it perfect defensively. Because it is a really high octane line. And I really like the way it works. We had Nyes, Tavares, and Robertson. Both JT and Robertson scored goals tonight. That was awesome. Keefe was right. He said every time Robertson's been scratched, he's come back in and he's had a huge game. Well, he was right. He comes back in tonight. He scores a goal. He looks great. CP says that he can't play in these tight games against these good teams, but he had a fantastic goal tonight. And you know what? I hope Nick Robertson is around for the playoffs. Although, again, makes me nervous to see what could happen there. JT's goal was great as well. Connor Dewar, David Kampf, and Noah Gregor. So Reeves gets the boot, even though we're missing a few guys. But Connor Dewar, I think, is a player. I think that's a player that you might see play for the Leafs for the next several years. I don't think he's going to be somebody that is not signed in the offseason. I think that you're going to see a 2, maybe a 3-year deal with this kid. And if he continues to develop, I could see him sticking with the Leafs because he plays exactly the way that they want to. He had a few great opportunities tonight. He was playing on the PK. Like, the PK still sucks. So the Maple Leafs have surrendered 6 power play goals in their last 6 games. That's terrible. Their special teams have been outscored 7-1 in March. So yeah, we're talking about the power play. We're talking about the PK. Both are shitty. But Connor Dewar seems to be a good addition. Twice tonight, he created epic opportunities, like grade A fucking chances that I thought he was going to score on. And Kochetkov, like, I'll give it to him. He's a good goalie. Like, I can't say much more than Kochetkov's a good goalie. And thank you for taking the fantasy win for me tonight because I needed that. But, 2 great shorthanded opportunities for Dewar. I could see him taking a role on this team, depending on how expensive he gets. But he's a really good, hard-nosed player, and he's got a nose for the net. And I don't mean he likes to go stand in front of the net and wait for things to happen. He likes to take the puck to the net. And kind of a la Noah Gregor, but better. He's better defensively. He's fast. And like Noah Gregor's fast. That's another great thing that they have together. But he just seems to be like an upgraded version of Noah Gregor. I really like that Connor Dewar pickup from Minnesota. And I have a lot of faith in Tree Living after some of these pickups start turning around. Joel Edmondson, man. Something I thought I'd never say, especially when he was a Montreal Canadian. I love Joel Edmondson's game.
Yeah, you'd never say that as when he's Canadian. Yeah, but
never. No,
look at this guy though, eh?
You cannot take him out of the lineup. CP put it best, saying it's a disgrace that Benoit has been out of the lineup for this long, but it's hard to deny that Joel Edmondson does everything Simon Benoit does and maybe slightly better. He is a great defender. He even saved a goal tonight, sweeping the puck off the line. Like, he is steady Freddy at home. He seems calm and collected. I like Joel Edmondson, and I can understand that Simon Benoit has to sit only with the thought process that I think Sheldon Keefe, even though he doesn't have this long-standing relationship with Brad Tree Living like he did with Kyle Dubas. Even though that relationship doesn't exist, so you aren't going to expect maybe previous situations causing animosity or him just having a bad attitude or just pulling, baby shit because he can get away with it because he's known this guy forever. But I think even Sheldon Keefe wishes that they would have went out of their way to get a right-handed defender and use that first to make something happen. And I think that even though we love Benoit, he's not going to put Edmondson on the other side, and he wants to keep Liljegren in on the right side. So you're going to sit Benoit and just kind of prove your point. Well, you're going to get me a new guy, I'll put him in the lineup, but we're going to lose the fan favorite and the guy that's been one of our best defenders all season. So I don't know how much it's a temper tantrum, I want to call it, but I really do think it has something to do with, well, this is what you're going to give me, then this is what I'm going to play. I'm not going to be going and fucking reinventing the wheel here just to make up some sort of D lineup that everybody's playing on their offside and playing like shit, and we're wondering if these guys are any good because you move TJ Brody over and he looks like good old TJ Brody that he was before. But, you can't take Joel Edmondson out of the lineup because of his play. He's doing very well. Plus, he's the new acquisition. It's just shitty that Simon Benoit doesn't shoot right-handed. That's the really shitty part. So something I've never, ever seen before. I've watched like hundreds, maybe thousands of hockey games. I've never seen an injured ref. Maybe I've just, I've never seen one taken off the ice, and I've never seen one that goes out and another one comes in from them. Something I didn't know existed was like an emergency backup ref. We got E-Bugs, we got E-Buffs, I guess, right? So Mark Shuchek, he's injured, and Mark Shuchek comes in for an injured Steve Barton, and Mark Shuchek doesn't even have his jersey there. I don't even know, is he watching the game? Is he live in Toronto? I have no idea why Shuchek's around. But he ends up wearing one of the other refs' backup jerseys. So you got two officials wearing 88. Not that it really matters, but I thought that was kind of funny. And that's something that I've never, ever seen happen in a hockey game before. Has anybody else seen that happen before? Am I just fucking new and green? I don't think so. I've watched a lot of hockey.
Yeah.
But have you seen it?
I mean, I've seen refs go down and get, hit with pucks, and I love those moments. Those moments are some of my favorite moments sometimes, but never seen one leave the game and get replaced with another one, especially with a backup jersey and 288s. That is funny. Yeah.
I've never heard of that in my life. Yeah. Yeah. It was amazing. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing to talk about.
Yeah.
So
refs.
Samsonov,
that's the other thing. Get injured.
No, we don't. But I mean,
I'm kidding.
We want to see the refs do well. I love seeing the refs, take some shit when they are terrible. But I don't want to see a ref injured.
No, we don't want to see anyone injured. But oh my god, the fucking reffing. Let the penalties go. I can't wait till playoff hockey, man. And I hope that's something you're talking about, this 5% power play. I hope that's something that works in the Leafs' favor, and we don't see a lot of penalties in the playoffs. And so what?
Yeah, well, you know what? They have seen quite a few power plays in the playoffs in the past, and they've been shit at them. Their power play percentage in the playoffs is way low. If you look every single season, their power play percentage is near the top. And then you look every single postseason they've been in, their power play percentage is near the bottom. That's not good. That's the good teams, the teams that move on far, usually rely on good penalty killing and good power play. Special teams will win you playoffs. They will win you games at least. They may not win you whole series and the whole cup itself, but it'll at least win you periods. It'll win you games. And that's what you need. You need a couple of, the difference tonight could have been if the power play clicked twice, there would have been no chance. It would have been 7-3. The game would have been over. They weren't scoring 4 goals with 3 minutes left. That wasn't happening. But the power play didn't click tonight. And here we are. They lost 6-5. So I'm just saying that it makes me nervous as shit that the power play's hot all year, and then it comes down to crunch time, and we're almost in April, and all of a sudden it goes to sleep, like fucking Sleeping Beauty, just waiting to be kissed or something to wake up. I don't fucking know. It's terrible. It's horrible, and it really makes me nervous because this team's so good, and every year you think they have a chance to do something, and then you see these little things that creep in that suggest you're watching the same movie. This sequel ends the exact same. These writers are fucking terrible. It's the same shit all the time, and it scares me to see that the Maple Leafs power play has regressed so bad. Hopefully, obviously it's not going to stay 5% forever. Hopefully it regresses back to the mean, and at that point starts to get hot. And we have another, 4 weeks before the playoffs. April 20th, I believe, is the first game. But 4 weeks from now, maybe you've had, 6 more games where you've had the power play consistently getting better and running hot. And maybe at that point, we don't worry anymore. And it's all sunshine, rainbows, lollipops, and everything that's wonderful happening to the Leafs. So Ilya Samsonov is what I wanted to talk about before we get out of here. It's the last thing I've got for tonight. Ilya Samsonov played again. Obviously, we know that. You know what that means, though? Joe Wool didn't play. Again. CP, where are you? Because you told me, CP, that Joe Wool was going to get the game against the Hurricanes and that I had nothing to worry about. And you know what? I sat here like a good little boy and I believed you. Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
He was pretty confident on that, yeah.
Joe Wool's going to go in. Yeah, that's right. That makes total sense. Absolutely. You're full of shit.
Yeah, I didn't believe it.
Samsonov's the man. He's getting apples. They're like, you know what? This guy's contributing to the scoring now. He's saving goals. Like, fuck, we love this guy. We can't take him out. You got to play the hot hand. And I think that's another thing with Sheldon Keefe. He said earlier in the year, if you want to play more, you play better. And we all look to that to be the forward lines and the defensive pairs. And guys making mistakes and the Pontus Holmberg being switched for Bobby McMahon moves. But he's also talking about riding the hot hand. When Sammy struggled a little bit, Joe Wool got the run. He was playing more. When, Joe Wool is hurt, he comes back, he starts not the best. Sammy is hot, you play him. But I mean, after this game, I 100% bet you Joe Wool plays the next game. We're playing Philly on Tuesday, I believe it is. Yeah, Philly, which is always fun. But I can almost guarantee you that Joe Wool starts that game. Because if the Leafs, it's funny, if the Leafs could have held out, and it's not solely on Samsonov that they lost this game. If the Leafs as a team could have held out and won that game 5-3, there would have been no doubt in my mind that every conceivable starters game going forward would be Ilya Samsonov's, because he's just been that good. But after the loss, now I can almost guarantee you, with the way that this management works, with everything that we know, with what we've seen time and time again, that Joe Wool is going to get his shot, and it's going to be probably in Philly. So I just like to say that I think that the Toronto Maple Leafs management, that Sheldon Keefe, maybe not the management, maybe they have no fucking say in it. Maybe it's Sheldon Keefe. He's just like, yeah, I see what you see, and I see what Sheldon Keefe sees. We're on the same page here. Ilya Samsonov's hot. A month ago, I was like, get rid of him before the deadline. What the fuck use do we have for him? But he looks pretty damn useful now. I think, Ilya Samsonov, until proven otherwise, is the de facto starter. This game does mean something, and it would have meant a lot more for Ilya Samsonov's tenure here, or at least for the rest of the season, if he would have got the win at 5-3. But, it's a team game. Not all on him.
No, not all on him. But at the same time, that, as you say, Wool starting potentially in Philly. Yeah, they've got a back-to-back, 19th and then 20th. The 20th, they're playing Washington. I would say it makes sense to give Wool the Philly game for sure. Because after Washington, they're playing Edmonton on the 23rd. That's 3 days after. We want to keep Sammy, our starter, hot for Edmonton, right? For the big matchup against Connor McDavid. So play him on the 20th and, keep him active until the 23rd. And give Wool Philly. I'm with you there.
Yeah, and I mean, Philly is shit. Like, we saw that
100%.
They are so bad.
Trash.
So, it makes sense. Wool goes in and he posts a shutout. Now the conversation's open back up. And it's crazy how thin the line is. Because Toronto, I'm trying to sit here and say Ilya Samsonov is the de facto. He's the one, protest signs. He's not. And that's the thing. The line is so thin that you can jump back and forth just by several games right now. And if you see stretches like you've seen from Samsonov, my belief is fully back that he could take this net for the playoffs. But if Joe Wool posts a shutout, his name's certainly back in the conversation to start playing more games, to start showing that he can do that. And it's not a terrible thing to go into the playoffs with two hot goalies. The only thing that I think about when I think about a team with two goalies that could play in playoff games, two great goalies, they're hot, they're good. They might have even just won the two goalie awards that exist, the Vezina and whatever that other one is that for team save percentage. And then losing the first round to the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we really want to have two guys. I think I'd prefer one guy cement himself. But, I'm really not picky on which side it is, which guy decides to just play out of his mind and win this. But right now, with all the evidence that we have, Ilya Samsonov, to me and to clearly Sheldon Keefe, because he started again tonight, which this should have been a Joe Wool game. He started. It shows that Ilya Samsonov is earning the faith back in the franchise, and that he more than likely, if the playoffs were to start tomorrow, would be the starter in game 1. That's my conclusion.
Now, yeah, I think Sammy, is a go-to starter. The only reason I would have said this wasn't, when CP, he was pretty confident that Wool was going to start this game. I never agreed with that from the get-go. I just look at, I'm a schedule watcher, I'm looking at games, and when they've got back-to-backs coming up, didn't make sense to me in the schedule to give Wool this one when they've got a back-to-back coming up 19th and 20th. It just, to me, I was never on CP's page with that. And I think Sammy, it's proven not only recently, but Sammy's been a guy, or, he's been the guy. So to give it back to him, it makes sense, more sense to me.
So early, you have to think about this game was such a tipping point. It was such a tipping point for Ilya Samsonov's, or how do I say this? It was such a tipping point for the organization's decision on Ilya Samsonov, because imagine he lets in 1 goal or 2 goals tonight and the Leafs win, 5-1, 3-1, we'll say, whatever. They don't have to score a whole bunch of goals. This is about a goalie. But if he lets in 1 or 2 goals tonight, even wins at the 3 mark, I think that just pushes whoever's beliefs even further forward that Samsonov's the guy. But now, after that they've done this, it's the Leafiest fucking thing. And this just reminds me of all Toronto sports teams. The Toronto Blue Jays, the Toronto Raptors, they like to do things the hardest way possible. There's a path, and it's you can go this way, slight right turn, back, and this way. And, okay. Well, then there's this one that goes like this, and back, and then down and up and over. And they're well, that looks fun. We should fucking jump on that one. I don't know why every time. It's they shoot themselves in the foot, but that is how these Toronto sports organizations operate, is that they like to shoot themselves in the foot. And that come to be with management decisions. That can come to be with players deciding to play good when you have both goalies playing good, or one guy who has a shot to cement his name as the playoff 1 starter and take all the starter games going forward, and he doesn't do it. And we still have to have this conversation of, well, maybe he's not, because there's this other guy who also performed really good before he got hurt. So it's now the conversation's open. It's not over. But I will give it to Samsonov that up until this point to today that I was right, that Samsonov has looked fucking awesome, and that he deserved to start tonight, and that he, even though this was shaky, he still has a lot of my faith. Absolutely. So looking forward here, Leafs are heading to Philadelphia to take on the Flyers on Tuesday, in the first of a back-to-back before traveling to D.C. to face the Capitals on Wednesday. And as always, we will be here after to chat about the game. We'll have CP back then. For now, that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for commenting. Hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe on our YouTube, and please rate us 5 stars. Give us a review if you feel so. That would be awesome. Find us on X at STDP Hockey, and search for Split the Defense on all other socials. We post funny memes. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to Split the Defense.
Split the Defense.
Leafs Postgame Edition. Hosted by Jordan Webster, Craig Pearce, and producer Ted Evans. Split the Defense is presented by LaForest Electrical Contractors. Professional and efficient service since 2004, serving the Kingston and surrounding areas.